Are we live on? Oh my heck! I think today we're just coming live to our YouTube channel viewers. So we just want to say thank you to those of you who are out there hanging out with us during the April 2nd. I almost said April 1st. Nope. April 2nd edition of Living Courageously Exposed. This is a podcast, broadcast, videocast, whatever you want to call it, where the conversations are live and we just really practice being human, mistakes and all. It's a place where we model for you your own humanity, your own authenticity, and we kick the door open for you to do the same. I love the moments where Lee and I just get to, hi, I'm your host, Jen Saunders, and
Ligia spelled Ligia,
where we get to just chitty chat about the goings on in our own lives and the lessons that we teach you and how we apply them in our own real life situations. And then also when we get the opportunities to have new guests, which we've got some really cool ones lined up, we're just solidifying dates. I love that we get to see the people behind the work that they do and how they got into the work that they do. And so we're really looking forward to sharing their humanity out with you as well. With that, we're just going to get going today. We always start with a little bit of breathing. I know you do it every day, but do you do it intentionally every day? And this is a moment for us just to say, hey, it only takes a moment to pause, to let go of what's already happened in the day, to let go of anything you think is going to happen in the day, and
Why
to just
is that important?
It slows down your heart rate. It brings your head and your heart and your gut into this beautiful coherence where you get to be present, where you can think more clearly, more intentionally, and make decisions that will probably most likely cause less collateral damage than if you make them from a space that's just like frenetic and scrambled and high in emotion sometimes. So,
why is it important?
Why is what important?
Why is it important
Breathing?
to breathe? Why is it important to let go of what you think will happen or what has happened? Why? Because all you have is right now.
I was going to say, you have now. You have now.
So it's remembering that all we have is now.
And really, it's a beautiful, simple way for you to be present with yourself. It's a beautiful, simple way for you to do what our big goal and mission is, which is bringing you home to yourself. A moment where you get to just connect right here. And we do this intentionally, hands on hearts. How often do you touch your heart and like really connect with yourself? I remember the first time, that makes me emotional. The first time I started actually intentionally putting my hand on my heart and how kind of wild it felt at first and how natural and how often I then found my hand going to my heart. And often when I talk to people, I feel like I've got to be more careful when I do this with women. I'll thump the heart, I'll thump the chest of the person that I'm talking with, just as a way of connection and letting them know that I'm right there. So I'm going to invite you to, as we do this today, to just connect with yourself, hand on heart. We're just going to do simple breathing, deeper breathing deeper than you normally would, all the way down into your sit bones. Feel your rib cage expand. Most people just breathe right here. Push it down, like you're filling a balloon. Feel your belly expand. Feel your rib cage expand. See if you can feel the expansion like going sideways, like chicken wings expanding out. Breathe in, for a good slow count. I'm not going to tell you what to do there. And then breathe out for that same good slow count. We invite you to do it with eyes closed or downward gaze, whichever is most comfortable for you. And we're going to do it for like 30 seconds. It might feel like forever, but it's going to be okay. Just good deep breathing. So with that, I'm going to take closed eyes, do what's most comfortable for you, breathing in through your nose. Just a nice deep breath that's going to allow you to feel the expansion. And then just a releasing, and release as much as you can. and then repeat. And as you do this, just notice. Notice whatever it is you notice. Like, how do you feel? What do you feel? What can you sense? Do you feel a difference? I always feel a calming and a peacefulness and just a bit of settling. Um, Again, that brings the head and the heart and the gut into coherence. It's a really beautiful thing to do when you're in conversation with your kids and maybe they've done something that just is like, stinking kids, or you're in traffic, or maybe you're in a business meeting and things are getting a little heated, or with your personal relationship, whether it's a spouse or um, a family member. Simple breathing, simple breathing. Easy to do, not always easy to remember to do intentionally. So beautiful. Okay, what are we doing today? I love this because we got on here, or before we got on here, we had a few little hiccups with the program we're using, and that always just like sends me into just like, because I'm not super techie. Leah is far more techie than I am,
And I'm not even techie.
and but it always kind of throws me. And I'm like, what are we going to do today? And Leah had a great idea. But first, before we do that, I just want to give a huge shout out to our clients and say, oh my gosh, you're doing so amazing. You're doing so amazing. I love watching them grow and progress and put themselves out there with our assistance in doing some of the things that they don't love to do, or they feel uncomfortable doing, or because of their age and the generation gap between their age and technology, that we're assisting them in finding simple ways to like do what they love without being sucked into all of the, I'm totally guilty of this, sucked into all the like shiny objects and ways you gotta do things. That they're just doing what we teach, and that's being authentic and being real and doing it in a way that they're seeing traction. And I just want to say, you guys are amazing. Thank you for like stepping up for you and letting us celebrate you. What are we going to say?
No, just I think it's not even technology. Sometimes I think that becomes a really great excuse. I think
Yes.
it's more that it's like, what's the point? Who's listening? No one cares. I've already said this before. I feel dumb saying it again.
These are the excuses they share with us.
I think it's a self-conscious feeling of like, nothing I'm doing is working. I'm pouring all this like time and energy and dollars into this, and I'm not getting the results that I want. And we can be like super animated on social media and posting all the time and sharing all the things, and then we don't get the responses from people that we want, or the comments. And my short little message to anyone is like, people are always watching, whether they're commenting or saying anything. People are always watching. Yeah. And it could be a year before they actually interact with you. It could be far less than that, but it's more, I think just showing up is more about getting the practice of, what's your message? How are you saying it? How can you say it in a different way? Because how it makes sense to you isn't going to make sense to someone else.
Right.
But this should be a whole other episode.
I agree. Well, what I like about this is it's a beautiful lead in to what we're actually going to talk about, which we decided right before we hit play. But also just that piece of like, if you need some assistance getting out of your own way, reach
we're
out.
All about bringing people and ideas to life.
You want biggest cheerleaders and assistance in getting you where you want to be, with simplicity and authenticity, and the concept of just staying inside of the home that is you, and drawing business to you versus chasing, for your gals. Reach out. But speaking of that, like part part of what we practice for ourselves, but that we assist other people with is this. And the title of today's show is like, how did you say that? Embracing. I typed it and I still don't remember what it is.
Well, I just want to start with a little story. There was a client I was working with, and he went into this program and he was super excited by the vision this person had created for him, and just like caught up in like the done for you aspects of that, and not recognizing that even though all the assets can be put together and the plan can be given to you, there's still a you in that plan that has to implement and show up. And if it's not on social media, it's for speaking engagements, or it's for workshops, or whatever it is that you're wanting to do, or to write the book.
Working with clients. Yeah. And people get so caught up in systems, like you got to have a system, you got to have a system, you got to have a system, forgetting that people run systems.
Yeah. And one thing that has really stuck with me that he shared with me is I'm still growing into the version of me that I imagined, but I didn't realize I wasn't ready for.
Right? And that you are, like, through the work you do with him, how did he say that? Like, the version of me you put out there, or which is actually who he is. But again, because he's been in his own way.
Like, now I've been all nice and cozy in this nest, and you're pumping me up, and then you shove me out of the nest, and now I have to figure out how to fly.
Which he's doing absolutely beautifully, by the way. Like
he really is. I had a conversation with him this morning, and he's doing really well.
It's been fun to see what's come his way. Like it's like
it's been very cool. But that's kind of what we wanted to talk today.
But wait, about. Noelle, we're proud of you. We're like, you're so amazing. Thank you for being in our world.
Just that where we want to go, but how much, we want to go there, but the parts of us that have been playing this narrative for far longer than the new place we want to be, we have to battle. Like, it feels like we have to battle who we were to get to who we are.
Yeah.
Or who we want to be.
Yeah. Or who we feel ourselves to be. Because I think that's actually a more true statement than we realize. It is snowing outside right now. I love it. I'm distracted. I will refrain from describing the snow because I want to, really a lotly. But just this piece of it kind of goes back to the podcast and the realizations we had last summer. We called it the oasis or the dump. And what is it that we're wanting in our worlds? But I believe it's more than just wanting. There is a piece of us that actually has a knowing. There's a statement that I can't remember who said it now. It's the remember the future. Remember the future, because all things are actually playing out at once, just in different timelines, which I'm not even going to try to explain that. It might have been Joe Dispenza or Greg Braden. But just this concept of there is something inside of us who knows a bigger piece of us and is constantly calling us forward. And we are constantly fighting with that self because we only know what's back there and we want to hang on to what's back there. And so Leah and I have been getting to experience some of that again through do you want the dump or the oasis? So
I'm just remembering the oasis and dump was alive.
It was alive.
That we did at the camp.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was in July of 2023.
And Facebook is deleting lives now. And I don't know that I put that on YouTube. Anyways, that's a side note.
That would be a bummer.
Yeah. That was
Note to self, those of you who do lives on Facebook, they're only holding them for 30 days. So you can download it or use a different platform. Or just do it a different way. Okay, so tell us about this, because I know it's something you've been experiencing in real life time in big ways the last little bit.
Yeah. I'm like, where do I even start with that?
Right. And P.S., we all do it. I'm experiencing it as well.
Yeah. I think for myself, one of the biggest things is I like most of us, based my whole world around everyone else and totally forgot to include myself in that dynamic. And the reality is, you can only do that for so long before you know, knowingly or unknowingly build up some resentments or feel unseen, invisible,
Burnout.
you lose your sense of identity, and you attach your identity to everything and everyone else. And then you're finding yourself doing things to distract yourself from that reality. It could be, being virtuous and making all the things and then keeping the house spick and span. And
Man, speaking of that, when we were out on Tuesday Adventure yesterday, you presented a question to me that I actually would love to present to you, and maybe we can talk about that more completely. But it's the concept or principle that we're taught that cleanliness is next to godliness. Just put that one in your thinker for a minute, or let us
okay,
know.
let's roll with that example.
Yeah. Does that fit what we're talking about, though?
Well, if my role has been that belief of cleanliness is next to godliness, but that takes up so much of my day, and I attach so much of my worth to maintaining
and value.
that vision.
Okay, I see
of
where you're
who
going.
I am,
Mm-hmm.
and where I get my worth, and where I'm seen. Like if I am seen with a messy or dirty house, what does that say about me? And moving to a place of like, that's not who I am. Um, I can still appreciate those things, but I also have other things that are important to me. And this is becoming less important to me because I'm not attaching all my worth to that. I'm learning something different. Does that make sense?
You're not attaching your worth to cleanliness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, note to self, we're not saying be uncleanly.
Be a slob.
Yeah, we're not saying that at all. Clutter, like right now, I'm an incredible, I have an incredible talent for stacking. Papers, like especially if I'm the one who's written on the paper, it is 100% absolutely important, and it's going to sit there. It's going to sit there for a long time, and it's challenging for me to go through those things because one, it draws me back to the stuff that's back there. It keeps me in old energy. It's tiring. It's tiring to sit here, and it is distracting because then instead of being able to focus on, oh, this is where I'm headed, this is what I see, this is where I'm going, I have all of that still in sight. And I'm looking around because it's right here, getting ready to be dealt with again, but from a different viewpoint, from a different person, because the person who's going to deal with it tomorrow, just because we have a lot going on today, is not the same person who dealt with it the last time she went through the piles, which was probably a year ago. I mean, I've gone through them a little bit, but yeah.
Okay, so that's an example. I think going back to what I was talking about as far as like basing my whole life around everyone else, now I've been put in this unique position where I have space from all of those things, and I have to focus on myself.
Is that challenging?
It is a heck of a challenge. It is a heck of a challenge.
I'm asking a little bit tongue in cheek, and just because we think it's going to be this freaking amazing thing, and it is. Don't get me wrong, but it's like freedom. We're unaccustomed to it, and we don't know what the hell to do with it, and our minds battle and are bullies because it tells us what? What does yours tell you?
I don't deserve it. I'm being selfish. I'm being greedy. I'll never figure out the way to, if it's a big purchase, I'll never figure out the way to pay for it. I'm going to lose it.
Even if it's come to you in like the most, I'm going to say, inspired, godly, easy ways. Like you put the dream in motion 10 months ago, 9 or 10 months ago. This is what we want. This is what we're moving towards. And we are asking that when it's time, we know there will be no question, no matter what the circumstances are, there will be no question. And then when it happens, it's like, we want to fight it.
Well, no one prepares you for that, right? And yes. I think that's why I felt like this topic was important, because there's like patterns that we have, and so, for example, I think I talked about this one in the trigger video.
Which is a really
conversations
good
with my
one, by the
triggers.
way. I would highly recommend going and watching. They're near
It
the
was
end
last
of March.
Thursday.
Yeah, the Wednesday and Thursday one, where Leah really just like opens up her vulnerability vault and just lays her heart out there of like what some things feel like.
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone out there, and I would love to know, put in the comments if you feel like that sometimes, like that you get so excited and you feel like you've earned this thing. A little practice that I have is every time I land a new client, it's something, I'll get myself a new shirt or something, treat myself in some way that feels good.
The story in the podcast is paints.
Yes.
Getting paints.
And just feeling, so I get it, I commit to it, I'm so excited, but the moment it arrives at my door and I open it, I want to send it back, and I don't feel like I deserve it, or there's other things I can use that money for, or I have like this big guilt thing going on, and then I want to recede back into my smallness, because that is a practice. That's a practice that I've intentionally made for myself to incentivize myself to celebrate, to have little pieces that remind me of like, oh, this is when I did that job. Oh, I did this when I did that job, or connected with that client. And it's a way of celebrating. Like you've taught me just the importance of celebrating, because I was kind of taught you don't celebrate, you don't acknowledge, you just kind of like, yep, that's what I do, and you keep going on.
And what is it that we teach here at Righteous Rebels and through Rebel Coaching and Creative Unraveling? Celebrate all wins. All wins.
Yeah.
Even if that means you got out of bed, or maybe it means that you stayed in bed.
Yeah.
All wins.
All wins, because then you're resting and giving yourself that reprieve that maybe you normally don't allow yourself to have. But I think when we're doing those things, it trips up that old patterning, and then you either fall back into that smallness, or you have to.
Why do you fall back in? Why do you, for yourself, feel like you fall back into the smallness, or why would our guest?
Because it's easy. It's what you know. It's what feels comfortable. That for me, that practice for me feels very uncomfortable. It feels counterintuitive to everything that I've grown up my whole life knowing and doing. And I, in this stage of my growth, I have to battle with it, ignore it, ask for support, or find other ways to express it. Otherwise, it just stays as a battle in my head, and
which 100% of the time is dangerous for yourself, and much of the time, I would say almost 99 to 100% of the time, dangerous for the people around you. When we keep the story going in our head versus having the vulnerability to just say, whew, this is what I'm experiencing, this is what I'm feeling, giving the story, one, shedding light on it. Fear and shame cannot exist in darkness, and giving it a voice, which then diminishes its power.
Yeah. And it wants to stay powerful, because when there's places that I notice and I want to say something, I get really self-conscious, and then I start judging that I'm even feeling that way, and that I should just to shut it down. For me, it would be to return the thing. But sometimes God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, gives you this opportunity that you can't just shrink back because you're scared, or because it challenges everything you believe, and you get to continue to move forward.
And it's beautiful. Like it feels super scary and it feels super exciting, which are the same chemicals, by the way. And it causes you to stand in your bigness.
Because what happens for me anyways, it creates this like whole shitstorm of past comments people have made, disguised in my own voice, or past places where things didn't work out, or places where thought patterns that I used to have. Like we've already talked about that, but and you have to be able to stand in your power throughout that and be like, no, that's actually not true. No, I'm actually moving this way. And it causes you to move and feel different. I think it's no different than like signing up for a race that you want to do, because then you start, not even intentionally, but your brain starts planning, where am I going to make time
Right.
to go running? Where am I going to make time for strength training?
Right. But it also challenges you in the way of like, it challenges you. Am I capable of doing this race? Am I capable of putting in the time? Am I willing to put in the time? Am I worth the time and the effort? And it challenges you, the heart of you. And are you going to listen to the heart of you or the ego of you? And speaking of races, like, come to the Spitfire Ultra Trail Challenge. Like, it's on April 19th, and registration online is still open until the 16th of April. You can also register on site. That would be spitfireultra.com. Shameless, happily shameless plug. We'd love to have you.
When you talk about that, it reminds me of like how much more susceptible we are to listening to those thoughts when we're tired.
Or when we don't feel well.
Yeah. Or when we're feeling kind of alone, like a lot of things are happening, a lot of changes, and you just feel like, oh my gosh, I can't even get my bearings. And you kind of lose sight. I have lost sight in moments of what voice is mine and what's what I know to be true, what I feel in my heart to be true, of how I am and how I see the world and how I move in the world. But it's so easy to shrink back to those patterns, and you don't always necessarily even notice when you do it.
Yeah. And how, I'm like, do I want to ask this question?
Okay.
How, because you've experienced this and because you've talked about it in the last podcast, how do you experience that in a moment where we call it the space, because it's not who we are. It's either fear or old habits or old patterns that are, it's ego based, that are presenting themselves, and they can take us over. How does that feel when, because I know I've had moments for myself, I'm like, I'm hearing thunder and snow. But I've had spaces for myself when I know something has taken me over, like, and I know it, but I can't get out of it. And I just act like, I act like a jerk. And it takes a minute before I can like find like me and my heart and say to that piece of me, like, whoa, everything, this is okay. Like, what you're doing, your behavior, not necessarily okay. Expressing my feelings, that's okay. The behavior sometimes that comes with it, not okay. But then giving that grace and that love to myself of like, whoa, that felt horrible. And I'm not sure why you didn't kick me to the curb, or like, and just the moments of recognition of behavior and separating the behavior from who I am, and finding that place to give myself grace to be like, ooh, what was that for me? What was the pain point? What was the, I just, for me, it never feels good. And I find myself wanting to go to attacking myself or beating myself up or not allowing myself space, sabotaging, going back into the patterning. So what is that like for you?
So I appreciate you sharing that. I think sometimes we don't even recognize when we're in a control dynamic and how that can cause reactive behavior.
Are you talking about in a control dynamic inside of
a
relationships?
Okay. And it could be work, personal, whatever relationship.
Okay.
But sometimes we don't recognize the things that can cause those reactions, and then that's put on us. And I think that's been often a dynamic that I've been in. And so those spaces for me can be triggered when I see or feel or interpret a conversation or a comment that kind of reflects that dynamic, because I'm so hyper aware of it in this space of my world, because I'm just learning how it played out for the last 20 years of my life.
Are you saying the you that was back there, not the you that's
call it the trigger,
current healthy space?
Yeah.
The you that's back there
gets triggered.
Because they see something that looks similar or could look similar. Yeah. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
So that you that went through that and lived those experiences now is like on high alert and always scanning, right? Because our bodies are designed to keep us safe.
So and it hangs on to things until we can release them.
Yeah.
We're aware enough to release them.
So that part of me becomes very protective and just we talked about this before, but I think sometimes can put on a filter of like how things are said and expressed, and it can seem like how it was before, but really it wasn't intended that way. And it can be a tricky dynamic.
It can be a very tricky dynamic, especially inside of relationships, any kind of relationship.
Yeah. So going back to your question, how do I experience that? It becomes very logical. I pulled up something I've been reading, the secrets of life or something. It's a book by Osho, and I just found it really interesting last night. I came across
Wait, that's an Osho?
Yeah.
She's reading it without me.
Anyways. There's this section that said, logical language is aggressive, argumentative, violent. If I use logical language, I become aggressive upon your mind. I try to convince you, to convert you, to make you a puppet, make a puppet of you. My argument is right and you're wrong. Logical language is egocentric. I am right and you're wrong. So I must prove that I am right and you are wrong. And I'm not concerned with you. I'm concerned with my ego, because my ego is right. My whole sense of worth and value is riding on being right, because that part of me has been made wrong, or has been gaslit or manipulated, or, intentions twisted so much that becomes like I live and die in that space. And how I'm learning to recognize that I'm in that protective space is that I feel nothing. Like I feel nothing. I don't see Jen the way I normally see her. I don't talk to her the way I normally talk to her. We have lots of beautiful, hard conversations like that can be challenging, but because we know how to talk to each other in a good space, we can have those conversations without it becoming defensive or hurtful or whatever. But in those spaces, it becomes I'm right, and I'm trying to prove a point, and I will go to any means to try and prove that point. Does that make sense?
It does to me, because I get to experience it. I would imagine that you, our listener, probably have been in situations where whether you're the one who just has to be right, there's just something in you, and maybe you recognize it and maybe you don't yet. Like, there's something in you that just has to be right, and you will do anything. You'll make the other person wrong no matter what. You will personally attack them. You will just be standoffish or combative or whatever that is for you. And but you also know what that feels like on the other side and you want to go to defensive mode of like, whoa, that's not how it is. That's not how it was meant. That's not, like, where are you getting that from? Or why, what's going on? Like, what's the actual, and again, we talked about this in the last podcast, like, what's actually going on. And most often it's not about the current situation or trigger. There's something, I say trigger because I feel like that's a bit of a buzzword. It is a
buzzword, for sure.
But definitely something that's poked a wound is how I like to look at that. There's still something that's so tender, and it's like when you get a cut, if it touch, you're like, oh, geez, there's a wound has been poked. And I just totally lost my thought because I went to a whole nother thing about wounds and triggers.
Just to address Natalie's question, are you able to meet those parts of you in meditation? I'm curious the way you interact with those parts. So if you watch our past video about being with my triggers, I talk a lot about being with that that part of me and what it's communicating to me and how I've been able to work through. Part of what recently I was going through, I wasn't with it. I was doing a really good job
with what?
With that part of me. I wasn't with the trigger.
Again, we call it the space.
Yeah, and it took hold of me, and I had been doing really well, just being with it, communicating what I was feeling, and it would dissipate. It would go away, and before I knew it, this one had just taken over. I don't think I got out of it until I woke up to a really bad dream, and I felt the hold release, because it's such a crazy space, and it's challenging to talk about because it brings out pieces of myself that I'm not proud of, and I'm not proud of how I showed up or things that I may have said, just from a hurt space and in a protective space. And part of that, so going back to Natalie's question, is like, for me, I'm just really uncovering, that's been my reality my whole life. And that's a part that I have to be more mindful of, that not everyone's that way. And
what way? Meaning controlling or manipulating or
okay. Trying to get something from me.
Okay.
Using me, having ulterior motives. Not everyone's like that, but I am very cautious of how and who I share with anymore.
Which is okay. I mean, not everyone. Brene Brown talks about this a lot. Like, not everyone is deserving of our full story or any of our story, and we do have our vault people. But there is also value in vulnerability and sharing things and kicking the doors open, and just for healing. But again, we share with our audience because it's what we teach as part of the coming home process to yourself. And but not everyone.
We all experience it,
and we all
in one
that's right.
place or another.
That's right, or in some form or another.
Yeah, and some of us are just really better at hiding it than others, and how we present to other people.
So you presented just a second ago the ego. That's so funny. It's telling us that Natalie's comment will show up in 5 seconds. Thank you, Natalie. You talked about, so in the Osho book, like the ego and the logic showing up when we're in, again, we call it a space because in this instance, it's usually fear or
I think it's mostly fear.
Yeah, that shows up.
It's fear in different forms, but this last experience was fear of being fooled again. Like, I have such a fear of having to be different to suit someone else, because I've done that my whole life, and I don't want to do that anymore, and I don't want it to be at the cost of relationships that matter to me, but I'm not willing to do it anymore. But my ego and my fear go to, then you can't love anyone. You can't be loved by anyone because they're just going to hurt you. Because I had bought in hook, line, and sinker, staked my whole last 20 years of my life in this last relationship, and coming to find and recognize very deep-seated patterns that I can't unsee anymore. I can't justify. I can't make excuses for anymore because they're intentional. They're intentionally hurtful and wanting to keep me small, keep me quiet, and
again, I would guess right, that you, the listener, probably feel or have felt or will feel exactly what Leah is talking about, just how the ego takes over in those places. Excuse me. But also in this Osho, we love Osho. We'll continue to share that with you. It's deep and mind bending in the most beautiful ways. You talked about the opposite. He talks about the opposite of logical again, which is something we talk about before we'd even read this. These are in our discussions. Will you share that piece of like
That the logic's always intellectual.
I mean, you can finish like the logic piece, but then go to the
the love language.
piece.
So, the counter opposite of the logic is your heart. So he goes on to say, love language is totally different. I'm not concerned with my ego. I'm concerned with you. I'm not concerned to prove something to strengthen my ego. I'm concerned to help you. It's compassionate, to help you grow, to help you transform, to help you be reborn. And this part about it's not the language. It's not so much what is said, but it's the way that it's said. It's not the container. The word is not important. The content of the message is more important. It's a heart-to-heart talk instead of a mind to trying to attack the heart, I guess you'd call
it. Yeah. So I guess it's 1:10. We do have somewhere to be. But I think it's that in looking at that, the words of Osho and what you've said, and what the message, the core of today's message is how, one, do you know where you're headed? Do you have an idea of where you're headed? Do you feel your future calling you and pulling you forward? I believe that intrinsically that every one of us has that pull. We're born with it because it's already happening. We're not just this. This is our earth suit. It's like the vehicle to be on this planet, that we're something far bigger inside of us, and that piece knows infinitely who we are and what we're capable of and what we want to do, what we want to learn. I can't even say what we want to accomplish. It's what we want to learn, and it continually pulls us forward. And how often do you stay focused on the future, remembering the future versus defending vehemently, logically, what was back there and who you were back there, who you were yesterday, who you were a week ago, who you were a month ago or a year ago, and you say, that's who I am, forgetting all of the things that you learned a week ago or a month ago or yesterday. And that when you went to bed, all of that laid down, and when you woke up this morning, you're not the same person that went to bed. You're a new person. And how easily it is for us to pick up yesterday's clothing, sometimes literally, guilty as charged, but to pick up those past pieces and put them back on as if that's who we are, because it's what we know, it's what we want to defend, and it's what we've been comfortable with. Because the growth piece can be very uncomfortable, and most likely is. That's part of it. I keep thinking of the sunflowers that we grew last summer, and how quickly those little buggers came up, and how some of them hang on to their little seed hats. But I just actually watched a video of one, and this part, I think it's really stuck with me. How that seed is planted and there's pressure around it. And we got to water it and give it all the nutrients, and then the sunshine warms the soil. And I watched how that seed grew upward, and then its roots like exploded downward, and just how quickly that happens. But it took pressure, it took darkness, it took some discomfort. And as much as we fight the darkness, myself included, beautiful things happen in the dark. And when the light comes, sometimes we really don't know what to do with it. And it's okay. This is me telling you it's okay. We grow into it. We continue to grow tall and strong, and the stalk gets more hardy and solid and weather and wind resistant, and we learn how to just go with it. And I think that's the beauty of what we're doing now. And what I would say is the core of this message is, where are you hanging on and defending back there versus looking forward and defending where you're headed? Not even defending, just honoring and moving forward.
And sometimes you just need someone to remind you you're not that person anymore. I would just say if you find yourself in one of those spaces that you don't feel like yourself, you sound like yourself, you sound logical and everything makes sense, but you're lacking that feeling, reach out to someone and share. Even if it sounds silly, reach out to someone safe that you know you can say, this is how I'm feeling. It sounds absurd, and they can help navigate that with you.
Someone who's not going to buy into your story or help you defend the past, but willing to see perspective and say, okay, cool. Here's a different perspective.
Someone that wants you to grow.
Ooh. Say that again. That's a big one.
Someone that wants you to grow and will fight for your growth.
And isn't what's the word? Threatened by your growth.
Yeah. I think that's a huge thing. But like you said, saying it, I just want to leave a few tips. Like, reach out to someone that feels safe and is committed to your growth. Write it out if you don't have that. Sometimes you just need to look at what you're thinking to challenge it.
Walk it out. I always say walk it out. Like for me, movement through the body. Sometimes the writing doesn't always necessarily do it for me. I need to move.
Yeah.
So I'll walk the park. Sometimes I pace the house, like legit. Movement, getting it through the body.
And just recognizing give it a voice. You're not alone. You're not the only one that feels this, and it's okay.
Shedding light takes power out of the story.
Yeah.
Takes the darkness out.
And maybe just reaffirm where it is you want to go. Is this story true? Mic drop. I love it, Natalie.
Boom.
Where do you want to go? Who do you want to be? And how do you want to show up?
Oh my gosh. And another shameless plug from the Righteous Rebels. We are taking new clients. If you feel like you would like some assistance in this, we do have packages, and we would love to have a chat with you and see if you would fit as one of our clients. We don't take everyone. We work with people who are ready to grow and to change. And so if that's you, reach out and we'll let you know what we're up to and how we can assist you.
And if you have a message that is just burning in your heart, a book that you've always wanted to write, and you need some assistance in that, how to publish it, Creative Unraveling we do coaching, we help you publish, format, edit, ghostwrite your books. So reach out. We'd love to assist you in bringing your ideas to life, whether that's a nonfiction, we've done children's books, anything. So
we love it.
Yeah. All right. We could go on forever.
Let's go. My gosh, we appreciate you. We got people waiting for us. Thanks for sharing your time with us today. We know it's valuable, and we would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you, badass blind woman, for sharing your thoughts with us. We love you. Put them in the comments. We'll look back and we'll answer. Remember, until next week, be bold,
be courageous,
be right.